Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So tonight we're going to be looking at a couple of video clips from the 50s, 60s up to about the 70s. I think these are some of the best ones I have on my channel. So you guys sit back, relax, and hope you enjoy it. What you're seeing here is a photo that was taken in 1952, and there's a reason why I'm showing you this photo. I had never seen this before. I think I looked at it for a second, then I saw that craft there, and I was like, wait a minute. That somewhat looks familiar. So you can't really see it that well until you start to kind of zoom in and stuff. But I've always said before that the images from the 1950s and 40s and even early 60s were some of the best ones because it was a little bit harder to fake that stuff. I know that there's some controversy behind Billy Meyer stuff, but that's a whole nother video we'll talk about. But this particular photo right here and the image of this UFO reminds me of some stuff that I've talked about before. You guys remember the McMinnville, if I can say that 100 times without trying to be tongue-tied. Remember that incident? I did a whole video talking about that, but this craft looks similar to that, and I have some images that's going to probably blow you guys' mind that you've never seen before, and I just came across them not too long ago. And if you guys aren't familiar with that old incident, I'll link something at the end of the video where I went through this whole incident where this farmer's couple saw this craft. She went in and she got her husband, and he went out, and luckily he was able to get 2 photos of this. And these people never try to prosper on what they saw or anything like that. And I did a whole interview, I did a whole video and stuff on that. I had her interview and stuff in there, but these are some of the photos that you saw from it. It was in the newspaper. They had it in several papers for a while. They even had it in Time magazine for a short period of time, and I thought that was very interesting and amazing that this was out there. And this is some of the photos that we had from it. Now, what I find very interesting about this is that someone else saw this craft, and the couple that saw this craft did not want their information identified when they were reviewed or interviewed about this. They had some photos of it, and they had more photos, but what I'm going to be showing you is some of those photos they took. And this is very interesting because what you're seeing here was an interview, and I'll talk about the interview in just a minute. I have audio for the interview too, of a couple that saw a UFO. They saw it twice, and they took some photos, and these are some of the photos that they took, and I have close-ups of these photos too. Now, this is interesting because this was a low-flying UFO, or if they want to say UAP now, but I'm still going to say UFO. But we have photos of this low-flying UFO, and then I even have a video interview where the person who has these photos talks about it. But here's going to be a close-up of these photos right here. Yes, and what you guys just saw there was photos of a UFO that someone took that is transforming and morphing, sort of say. You guys saw that first photo there, then you see this photo here. It seems like something just kind of popped out the top of it as this craft was descending down, and here's kind of a close-up of that. So we've thought about these craft probably being able to shape shift or kind of morph or transform a little bit, and we're seeing evidence of it here. And what's even more interesting is when you look at this photo up close, you can see, I'm not going to say it's vents underneath, but there's something underneath it. This could be part of the propulsion system or something for the craft. I don't know exactly what it is, and I'm not going to try to guess on it, but if you guys know, are familiar with it somewhat, I've heard something, put it down in the comments. I'd like to know about that. But this isn't the only set of photos that I have on this. There's more photos too. So these other photos you're going to see is that they saw the craft again, and they filmed it in a kind of a woods area, so you guys can get kind of feel and kind of judging how big the craft is. So you guys see this right here. This is one photo here, and you see the craft here descending again. Now, like I said, this couple that has this photos or had these photos did not want their information to be out. They, from what I was told and what you'll hear in some of the video clips, is that they had money and they didn't really care about that, and they were kind of fearful when they saw it. It kind of freaked them out. You can imagine in the 60s or something seeing something like this, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you happen to get photos of it. And there's even more photos, a couple more photos I'm going to show to you that show the same craft, and it does seem to be changing shape or shape-shifting or morphing in some sort. Here's another photo of it underneath it. Now, it does seem to be more flat on top in this photo here. And then, as it was told, the craft kind of went into the woods, and they got this photo that you see here. This is the first time that I've seen this many photos by the same people and of the same craft. And like I said, the information of the people has not been disclosed. I found some information as far as the photos go, but the people that were putting it out didn't want their information to be out there for God knows what reason, but I can understand that. So I don't know what to think of this. I thought this was very interesting, and I'm going to show you guys in just a minute part of the interview. And here the craft is kind of descending off before they didn't get any more photos of this particular craft. And this is very interesting. Now, the interview you're about to listen to was conducted by Wendell Stevens, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens. You guys, if you're not that familiar with him, he's one of the pilots that was getting some photos of what he called the ARV, the Alien Reproduction Vehicle, and then also of UFOs too. And he's got books out there too on UFOs. So I'll try to find some on Amazon and put the links in the description if you guys want to check them out. I need to get them myself because I heard these books are pretty interesting and they've got a lot of stuff in there about UFOs and stuff. So what you're getting ready to hear, and this is one of the photos that he took of what he considered to be an ARV, or Alien Reproduction Vehicle. But what you're going to hear right now is going to be the testimony from some of these photos. So I'm going to quit my yap and I'm going to let this play, and I'll be back in just a minute.
As far as I know, no one has ever seen these photographs except for the people I've described. Here's like this one's flying directly over the house.
Right over the house.
Right over the house. Here it is with the top of the capsule raised. He said that capsule went up and down on top.
Changed elevation. Sometimes it was higher, and sometimes.
Well, you see in this one, there's no top to the thing. This is going over the house also. This is the same photograph, but it was further over the house. See, that's going over the house. He took another picture as it got over the house.
That's interesting.
And then as it went out in the field, it elevated this little thing on top, a bubble on top.
That accounts for some of the changing shapes that we get reported. I see.
So there you guys go. I think this is the first time that we've gotten photos of a UFO that has changed shapes and got it from the same person, and we see it in the different shapes that we see here. We see it in shape 1, we see it kind of morph and stuff. So I don't know if as they descend down, affecting Earth's gravity, things change. I'm not even going to try to guess on that, but you guys put down in the comments what you think about this. I think this is one of the more interesting cases, and I don't even know what to label this. We're just going to call this the morphing UFO of the 60s or whatever. But if you guys have heard more about this or something like this, put in the comments so we can kind of research and backtrack and try to get some more information on this. What I have is kind of what I'm showing to you guys here. So if you like stuff like this, also let me in the comments and I'll try to do some longer format videos. And I always try to look at the comments too. So you guys don't forget to like, subscribe, please share this with your friends trying to get this stuff out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you guys watching. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've read through the comments and a lot of you guys are like me. You like seeing a lot of the old information or the old photos of UFOs and videos from the 50s to about early to mid 60s. And that's kind of some of the stuff that you're seeing here. And this was a little bit more authentic and it was a little bit more difficult to fake, especially a lot of these photos and stuff that you're seeing here. They didn't have the software and the technology, of course, that we have today just on a cell phone. They didn't have that. So today we're going to be looking at an incident with William Rhodes, and I'm just calling this the Rhodes UFO incident. Now, before we talk about what he saw, it's good to note that on June 24th, 1947, Kenneth Arnold saw something similar, and he's the one that was kind of made it publicly known, and kind of the term UFO and flying saucers kind of came about with this. And there's a whole report on that. I'll do a video on this pretty soon where the CIA investigated and everything, and they couldn't determine what it was, but there was a lot of drawings and sketches on this. But with the case with William, he was walking home one day, and as he was walking home, he said he was going home to his workshop. He said he heard a whoosh sound, and at that time, he was thinking that it was like a P-80 airplane or something flying above him. But when he stopped to look and looked up, he didn't see an airplane. He went in, he grabbed his camera, and he was able to take these photos. He said this craft had passed by him at least 3 times, but I think on the second pass, it actually went silent. He wasn't able to hear it anymore. And then from that point, he said when the craft left, it left some vapor trails in the air. which is pretty interesting because I've never heard of a UFO leaving something like this. So it makes me think that this is possibly something that was man-made. Not 100% sure, but it resembles somewhat a way like Kenneth Arnold's report and what he saw. Of course, it's the art and rendering that you have there with Kenneth Arnold. But these photos were so important that it was actually included in a book that Kenneth Arnold wrote with someone else. And they included these two photos that he took in there. But looking back at these photos, it's pretty interesting to look at this. I mean, you guys can see here, it looks like it may be tilting at somewhat of an angle. And then on the second photo, it looks like it may actually be taking off. And you can kind of see the underside of it. You can see that little white center or white light in the center of it, but I don't see anything coming out the back. Making me think that this may have been something that was brand new for them, of course, to see back then. But these are the photos we have of it. But this could be possibly man-made. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. It could be maybe an early model of the famous TR-3B that we have not seen, but we just have particular photos of it thinking that this may be it. Or it could be something resembling this right here. This one was taken in 1979, I believe it was, and it's kind of a U-shape or a horseshoe shape UFO or craft, but it doesn't have lights on the one that he took where this one does. So it's pretty interesting, but I wanted to present this to you guys because it was enough for it actually to be even reported in Project Blue Book. In Project Blue Book, this was reported as incident number 40, if I recall, on there. And I was trying to find the report on it, but I couldn't find it, which you guys may find. If you do, put it in the comments below. But I always think that this right here is a pretty interesting discovery, and the photos that he took for it was pretty good too. So put down in the comments what you guys think about this, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, stay tuned for the next video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm getting this out a little bit later than normal, but you guys know that there's a lot of information out between the 60s and probably late 70s of a lot of people seeing UFOs, being abducted by them, and just some interesting testimonies. And today's video is going to be no exception to the rule. I'm actually going to cover a lot of these in the coming weeks and months, especially over the summertime. So this particular incident I'm going to talk about is going to actually bring us back into the United States. And it's going to bring us over to Minnesota and Marshall County. And what transpired was there was a deputy by the name of Val Johnson. Late at night, he was actually out on patrol. As you guys saw there, it was about 1:40 in the morning. They say between 1:40 and about 2 o'clock. He was out on patrol, and this is actually a drawing in the map of the route he actually traveled. But he stated that he was out driving, and about 1:40 in the morning, he saw a bright light coming to him. And with that bright light, he said it came to his vehicle, and he all of a sudden blacked out, skidded off the road, and he crashed. And there's actually evidence for this as well. On his patrol car, his front window, as you guys see there, is actually broken. And then also 2 of his antennas were bent at a 90-degree angle. There's one of the antennas there, and then another one you're going to see in just a second too. It's pretty interesting with this. And then there's also a little bit of radio communication. The incident happened for about 39 minutes, and his watch and his clock in his car actually stopped for 14 minutes. But the incident was about 39 minutes, and when he woke up, this is what he actually called in.
407, what is your condition?
I don't know. Someone just hit my car. I don't know how to explain it. Strange.
Are you, what's your condition? Are you okay?
Something attacked my car. I heard the glass breaking and the brakes locked up. I don't know what's going on.
10-4, I'll get hold of 406 Steven and send him on his way.
What you guys just heard was the transmission between him and the radio dispatch when the incident occurred. And what makes this even more interesting was the next day, several people went out. They tried to see if they could find some objects or something in the road. And then the news actually came out there too as well.
Found. All kinds of small airplane theories have been bandied around, but Deputy Johnson clearly remembers hearing no engine noise. And nothing explains the 14-minute lapse in the two timepieces, nor the peculiar bending of the antennas. It's a mystery. Or, as the UFO investigator from Illinois said, it appears to have been a close encounter of the second kind.
Then, of course, from that point, there were a couple of ufologists that investigated this, and they said it was pretty true. They said it was pretty legit, and he didn't go into hypnosis, as you guys see here, because he just said it's going to feed into people's curiosity and just a lot of stuff that's going to go on with that. And of course, you got your one skeptic that's always arguing something. They said it was a hoax and that he deliberately damaged his own car, and then he said he saw a UFO to try to kind of cover that up, which there's always going to be a skeptic somewhere, but I personally believe that he saw what he saw and what happened, because remember, this is a car from 1970. If he had that kind of damage there on his windshield, something would have probably scraped and scratched the trunk up too. I mean, something just doesn't hit like that unless it was a ball or something. But then you also have to think about the antennas that were bent at a 90-degree angle with it. We've heard about particular people having issues like Betty and Barney Hill, them blacking out, clocks and stuff stopping, watches stopping and stuff. So my 2 cents on this is that this actually happened. He was driving down, like he said, he saw the one light, he thought it was a semi. The light came close to him. He probably blacked out, because a lot of people lose their consciousness when this happens. He skidded off the road. This whole incident was about 39 minutes, and he was probably abducted, because remember, his watch and the clock in his car was stopped for 14 minutes. And then immediately after his abduction, they probably took him back and put him back in the vehicle. But that's just my 2 cents on this, knowing some cases that were similar to this. And other than that, this car looks clean. Doesn't look like it has any other damage on it. So maybe the UFO hovered over top of it. Who knows what happened, but I think that this is a little bit more legit than some of the other stuff that we see, especially nowadays. So put your comments down below what you guys think about this, and I'll have a lot more coming. So don't forget to like, subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. Appreciate you guys watching.